Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome to a new chess strategy and tactics video. So in this video we'll talk about the endgame stage again. Today we'll talk about a very specific and important topic in the endgames. Today we'll talk about the Rook versus Bishop endgame. And of course the most important question that has to be answered in this types of position is a Rook versus a Bishop endgame a winning endgame for the player that has a Rook? So in some positions it's winning, in some positions it's unfortunately not winning, because many times probably you reached a similar position or maybe even the same position where you have the fully endgame. We have a Rook versus a Bishop and then we don't know what to do. Should I maybe accept the draw? Should I maybe push it to the limit? So these are really the most important questions in these types of endgames. So I've sorted out here three important positions for you. Then you know if you should maybe push it to the limits or should you really accept maybe the draw offer by your opponent. So the first example is a common position. So you see we have here basically the pieces thrown all over the board. The most important thing here to notice is that the black's king is not cornered. When the black's king is cornered, there are new opportunities for the player that has a Rook. But so far, notice that black's king is so far not cornered. Maybe white can start to push maybe this position to the limits. We step back with the bishop. He's trying to attack you. He's trying also to maybe reach the here after a couple moves the opposition position. So we have now an opposition where your opponent is then trying maybe to deliver check, getting you towards the first rank, and maybe he's trying now to corner you on some of the squares, maybe on h1 or a1. But of course we are not allowing him. We deliver a check, and now we step back here to h7. Again, he can maybe try to attack with the bishop, but we stay on this diagonal where the king doesn't have access to the very important e4 square, so he cannot reach the opposition. So as I said, when the pieces are just thrown all over the board, the position is a thematic draw. Let's see now a different position. We have now the king cornered here, but this is still good for black because the bishop is targeting the opposite color square than already the king has taken over here. So you see the black's king is now on a dark square, but the light square's bishop is covering, of course, the other square, the g8 square. So even though white can deliver an annoying check here on a8, we can cover ourselves with the bishop, and basically if white stays now on this diagonal, we have reached now a beautiful stalemate position. So although the king is cornered, still black has drawing chances, so never forget about it. So that's why in the beginning, when you have maybe reached a similar position where you pushed to the limits, notice that you have to push, that you have to go with your king on this opposite color square then the bishop is covering. So for instance, in this particular position, if the king would be on a8, then it would be a different story, because look at this. Now we have this kind of position. Black's king is cornered also, but the dark square bishop is covering the same colored squares like the king already does here. So we have now some dark square problem sort of here in this particular position. Now again, it's actually a winning game for white here. So what white should not do is of course allow here black to escape. Don't do that if you're playing with the rook here, because black's king will escape, will eventually also go to f6. So it's a different story. Now again, it's a thematic draw, so you don't have any more winning chances. So in order to stay in the game, instead of this move king to f5 first, what we should do is attack the bishop, and sort of the ladder over the bishop sort of is a pattern that you have to be recognized. You use many times in these types of endgames the tempo against the bishop. Now you see also in this particular example, we use the tempo against the bishop. The bishop has to now drop back, and we are cornering further the king here. The king is now paralyzed. If you of course go here on h7, you get checkmated immediately. In order to stay in the game, black needs now to cover the h2 square, but nothing dramatically changed. We just use another square in order to deliver checkmate on the h file, so it's game over. You can just prolong the game by maybe covering with the bishop for a while, but it's a beautiful here checkmate pattern for sure. So see, with the move rook to a2, this is the pattern that has to be recognized. We use a tempo, we use a new beautiful opportunity to corner our opponent's king further in this position. So now let's see, for instance, this position. This is really an important pattern that has to be also recognized. Again, we are using the bishop in order to deliver checkmate. Again, we use the attack against the bishop to maybe deliver some checkmates on the back rank, of course, here on the 8th rank. So what we should not do is again play something like king to c6, allow our opponent here to escape. Again, what we should do is to go into an opposition first. Now your opponent has, of course, several chances, but the most important thing is if you, for instance, play something like bishop to c5, we use the tempo against the bishop. Now he can maybe play something like bishop to b7, we deliver a new check, rook to c8, he can cover, but now we just step back. Now he has to play a move, and now it's, of course, winning. We'll simply take the bishop, and afterwards we'll deliver checkmate for sure. So let's go back. After move king to e6, if your opponent plays something like king to f8, then we play rook to f7. This is very, very important. We are again trying to get the picture where we reach the opposition. Again, we would have this beautiful tempo against the bishop. Now the bishop again drops back, and again we have some checkmate threats. Again, maybe something like this can happen, but now rook to b8 again your opponent has to step back and the game is over. So instead of this move here, after move rook to f7, your opponent, of course, can try the move king to g8, but again we get the king closer, and now you see we have cornered the king towards the king side here. Again, maybe a check can happen, and now again with the same pattern we have here the opportunity king to g6. Again, we have reached the opposition. If, of course, your opponent plays here on h8 immediately, he gets checkmated immediately. But if he tries to do something like bishop to e5, then again we use the tempo against the bishop, and the game should be over. So here you see it's a very, very important pattern that has to be recognized going on into an opposition, and then use the bishop as our friend, sort of. Now it's a different story. This should be completely winning here for white. So notice that in your own games, maybe you reach maybe different endgames where you have a rook and a pawn against your opponent's bishop and a pawn, and then maybe your opponent is trying to trade off the pawns, hoping maybe to reach a bishop versus rook endgame. Maybe you should accept it in some lines. Maybe you should not accept it, because in some lines you saw that it's not winning if the position is a little bit different. But notice when you have such a position where your opponent is pushed to the limits, and when you see the bishop here is targeting this square, the same colored square that the king can escape, that the king can use to escape. So you see, it's a different story than this story that we have. It's a in this particular position, it is a thematic draw. In this position, it's not, because we have some, as I said, dark square problems here. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the study. Pay good attention when you have the rook versus bishop endgame. If you want to know more about the endgame and also more about the middle game and open stages, check out our basics in chess series, and also my become a master in chess series. Here are the link of 2 of my important series here on my YouTube chess channel. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.